Hi, gang. Hello, hello. Here is your Saturday poll question. If President Trump brokers a peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine that Ukraine finds acceptable, should he be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize? Yes, is the answer to that question. I'll explain in just a moment. This Thursday night, I remember when I mentioned this, it was like, oh, upcoming on August 21st. And it seemed like August 21st was so far away. This Thursday night, comedian Joe Ellis at Parks Casino in the Philly burbs. This ought to be a hoot. The headliner is Ian Lara, who right now has an HBO comedy special called Romantic Comedy streaming on HBO Max, recently appeared on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. And Joe Conklin is a hysterical guy and a Philly guy, the man of 1,000 voices. He does great impressions. So it's the combo of Joe Conklin, he's your host, and Joe Ellis really making her debut. I mean, she had that impromptu Kill Tony episode with Tony Hinchcliffe. Yes, that Tony Hinchcliffe a couple of weeks ago that really launched her. But the whole idea is just crazy of Joe, former editor of the Smerconish.com newsletter, now embarking on a comedy career that's going to bring her to Parks Casino on Thursday night. I'm laughing already. Tickets are only $25. It includes a free drink. The last time I was there for a comedy night, like in the span of an hour, I saw 5 different acts. It's really, really a good deal. And you can mingle. And I hope to be there. Fingers crossed. Buy your tickets now at parkscasino.com/entertainment. Parkscasino.com/entertainment. Look on the comedy tab. That's what I did. You've got to be 21. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. I have never been so disappointed. In all the years of Smerconish.com poll questions, I've never been as disappointed as I am in the yesterday result. 33,958 cast ballots. Why are fewer Americans drinking alcohol? 52.29%, a majority. You had 4 choices and a majority said health. Really? As if we all just became health conscious, like, oh, I'm not going to drink anymore because I just read this study. That's absolutely not true. Only 5.44% said isolation. And you know that I was referring to mingling, right? I talked about the data, 54% imbibe compared with late 1970s. The number was 70%. There's been a near 20-point decline among Republicans in the last 2 years. And that's because, all of a sudden they're health conscious? Bobby got in and is making America healthy again? No, this is over 2 years. No way is that the answer. The answer is, as detailed in the American Time Use Survey, okay, which is this vast data set that analyzes how we all spend our time. Here's the key takeaway. Between 2003 and 2024, the amount of time that Americans spent attending or hosting a social event declined by 50%. We are not mingling. And that's why drinking is down. Okay, let's get to it. Yesterday, the whole summit in Anchorage between Presidents Trump and Putin giving rise to today's poll question, really Hillary inspired. I mean, Secretary Clinton said in certain circumstances, she'd be happy to nominate Donald Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize, which he desperately wants. And look, she had caveats. I've heard and I've seen, and you can guess where. I saw it last night, as a matter of fact, on Fox, where they take just a snippet of Hillary saying, and I'd be thrilled to nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize. Her contingencies were, so long as he doesn't capitulate to Trump. In the same way that the way I've worded today's poll question is, if President Trump brokers a peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine that Ukraine finds acceptable, should he be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize? The answer is yes. By the way, as the New York Post says, niet yet, as only they could do on their cover. What's that expression? Everything has been said. Everything has been said, but not everyone has said it. Everything has been said, but not everyone has said it. I kind of feel like that today in terms of going on CNN shortly and delivering my thoughts. I watched it all. I yesterday I had the events in Anchorage in the background for my entire day, which was largely comprised of reading and preparing for whatever was to come, uh, getting the newsletter ready and so forth. But I watched the arrivals, which I thought was really interesting. I have a body language expert, Chris Ulrich, on CNN today, and hopefully we'll get him on uh, Sirius XM on Monday because all the staging, and I'm a former advance man, very proud of it for Vice President George Herbert Walker Bush. So I noticed the little things of that arrival, and I'm sure you did too. But the way that Putin was forced to walk between what were they, F-35s and then the B-2 overhead. Yes, the red carpet. But I mean, I hear people say, oh, and they gave him a red carpet. What was Trump supposed to do? Knee him in the groin the minute that he stepped off the plane? I mean, the whole purpose here was to try and bring about a peace deal. So I have no problem with the way in which the president greeted him. A little bit odd, with the applause. I think it was like saying, "Hey, I'm happy you're here." But I'll get into that with the body language expert. But I watched the arrivals. I noted the staging. They were behind closed doors. I listened to all the commentary. I had to take a drive yesterday, an hour-long drive, and I planned my day knowing that at 3:30 they were going to go Eastern time. They're going to go behind closed doors, and I thought, okay, for that hour I can listen to commentary and hope that they don't end the meeting abruptly. And then got to watch the presser, short that it was, and listen to some of the commentary thereafter, which I found completely predictable. So, where do I come out on this? I don't know if it was a success or a failure. There's no ceasefire. Yes, I know President Trump told Brett Baer that he'd be disappointed if there were not a ceasefire at the end of the day, and there was no ceasefire. And Trump was clearly disappointed, looked weary at the end of the day. By the way, I mean, I'm giving him credit as well, just for I thought mistakenly, I thought as they announced this, well, he'll probably, hole up on the West Coast and then go to Anchorage. No, he flew to Anchorage. So did Putin. Putin took a stop along the way. I think his trip was 12 hours. Trump's was 6. Um, but for a guy Trump's age, to make that trip to Anchorage, then to be engaged in a negotiation with Vladimir Putin, then to fly back, speaking to Zelensky and NATO leaders on the way, that's a lot. That is a lot for a person of any age. But I'm giving him credit for the effort. Yeah, I'm giving him credit for the effort because no other effort was made that I'm aware of in the last 3.5 years. Has there been anything like this? No. And if it bears fruit, that would be wonderful. Not at the expense of Ukraine, but if it bears fruit, I think that would be a good thing for all concerned. What I'm going to say on CNN today, and then I'll say it to all of you right now, is that here's how you're going to know whether this is bearing fruit or not. President Trump said that there would be very serious consequences if they couldn't strike a deal. Will there be very serious consequences this week? President Zelensky is coming to the White House. Obviously, Trump has something to present to him, something else I don't hear people saying. And secondarily, will Putin continue to up his battlefield war games? Put aside all of the language, all of the parsing, all of the analysis of their body movements, even though I find that fascinating. In the end, where the rubber meets the road is whether we impose more sanctions, these very serious consequences, and if Putin continues to be aggressive on the battlefield. And if that's the case, then this is not going to resolve at any point soon, and that would be a real disappointment. But if Trump can get it done, if Trump, put aside your Trump derangement syndrome, if Trump can get it done in a way that is satisfactory to Ukraine, then that would be great for the globe. And sure, give him the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, Obama, for whom I have the utmost respect, was given a Nobel Peace Prize 20 minutes into office, and he was embarrassed to accept it because he knew he hadn't earned it. Trump's working it. He is working it. Yeah, with all his showmanship and all of his bluster and all the things you don't like about him. but he's working it. But he's working it. Maybe he's the only one who can do this, given this relationship that he has with Putin. Obviously not at the expense of Ukraine, whatever that might mean. Whatever that might mean. So anyway, I think it's a great poll question. Hillary, quote, honestly, if he could bring about the end of this terrible war, if he could end it without putting Ukraine in a position where it had to concede its territory to the aggressor, could really stand up to Putin, something we haven't seen, but maybe this is the opportunity. If President Trump were the architect of that, I'd nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize because my goal here is to not allow capitulation to Putin. Well, that's my goal as well. But is peace really going to come without any surrendering to Putin of land in eastern Ukraine? I doubt it. I doubt it. So that's the issue. That is the issue. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. And hopefully for watching on YouTube, please make sure you're liking and subscribing and setting yourself up for notifications. See you, gang.